Hello, my loves. Welcome back to another video on Starseed Academy. My name is Jenny, and I'm so grateful that you're with me, especially for this video. So I really want to talk about something that has been coming up, brought to my attention, and becoming more and more questioned in the, in the spiritual community, in the Starseed community, something that has a lot of fire behind it, and a lot of emotions, a lot of passion. And I just want to state, like, my intention for this video is not to push my agendas. I don't have an agenda, not to push my own opinions. What I think I really just want to bring is a clear head and an honest and sincere voice from someone that has had real and actual experiences with whatever you think of starseeds to be, aliens, off-world beings, these extraterrestrial beings, have had true and honest experiences with them. If you don't believe that like aliens exist, this might be a harder video for you to kind of get into, but I still would ask you to stick around, because this is something that it's so deep. It's such a deep wound in humanity, a lot of what we're going to talk about. So I still think that this would really apply. But anyway, what I wanted to say was like that my intentions for this is not to add fuel to the fire in any way, is really just to be like a cooling and calm voice of reason from maybe another perspective. Just because this has been covered so heavily from people that don't believe in star seeds, that don't believe that any of this is real, and it's coming out from them in, I feel, a very biased way. Like they're really filled with bias and hatred and scorn towards anyone that really even uses the term starseed. Okay, so I want to talk today about, are starseeds canceled? Is this term something that is racist? Is this term something that is no longer acceptable? Is this term something that we should stop using? I really think that you need to hear this, because I really want to talk about what personally has been like the insults that have been slung at me just in the last couple of weeks for even using this term. And I want to share with you some really like deep research that I've done as to why people are now feeling like this is a derogatory term in some way, and really be honest about where it has gone wrong. It truly has in a lot of ways, and I want to be just super honest and open about all of that. So again, I never would support anything that would cause division in my community, in my work, as someone who really prides themselves on being of service to humanity, right? And to me, what that means, the ultimate highest service to humanity that you can do, is bring people together. It's about oneness, and it's about equality, and it's about bringing back the love and focusing on our sameness and not our differences. So that's the opposite, like division, people thinking that Starseeds is about division, to me was really like really eye-opening. Maybe I was a little bit naive in the fact that everybody thought the way that I did, where I really believe starseeds to be such an inclusive term, right? Because to me, starseeds is inclusive of the entire Milky Way, our entire, even beyond that, I know, even beyond our own galaxy, but like inclusive of humans and, these feline beings over here, and these grays over here, and these Syrians or these reptilians or whatever. And it was like, my idea behind Starseeds is that that's a great place to start. Let me just share with you what I believe a starseed to be. I believe a starseed to be a soul that has had lifetimes off Earth. Okay, so that means you haven't just had human Earth lifetimes, you have had lifetimes on other planets. Okay, and to some people that probably sounds totally crazy, but to others that's like not a big deal, and it feels so truthful to them, and they've had these experiences, past life regressions, astral experience, dreams, memories, even as small as little children. You can find in your own experiences, maybe, but also like online, because, we see everything on the internet now. You can find like little kids talking about their experiences of their life on Mars, or their life here or their life there, as well as kids talking about remembering having lifetimes as humans as well. So maybe it shouldn't be that shocking to think that Earth is not, like, why do we think we're the center of the universe? Like, there is life on other planets, and they may look humanoid and they may not. They may look like mantis beings, for instance, like something completely different. And is it so crazy to think that a soul up in heaven, if you want to call it that, or up in what I call just the in between lifetimes, that a soul would be able to choose, oh, I'd like to have a life over there on that planet, or a life there, or maybe I'll go try Earth. Earth is like super hard, by the way, because of the frequency. It's so low, and the main frequency here is the third dimension. That's extremely difficult compared to having an Arcturian lifetime, which would be like 10th or 11th dimensional. And that just means a much higher frequency, much closer to love and oneness. So the further away you get from God, or the further away you get from source, whatever term you prefer, the more separation and the division comes in that polarity, right? So Earth is really filled with that. And so it's a really difficult place to be. So anyway, yeah, my idea of a starseed is that there's somebody that is a human, having a human lifetime, just like everybody else, no better or worse than anyone else, but they just have had lifetimes before this one, or parallel to this one, where they're experiencing another planet. Side note, I've never met somebody that wasn't a starseed. I've never had somebody come to me and ask, like, to see these other lifetimes and not at least have something in their soul history, in their soul journey, that wasn't on Earth. Why would anyone, and I'm not saying this doesn't happen, but why would a soul just choose to repeat the same planet over and over and over until forever? When you have this whole, like, all of these other, like, flavors, all of these other, like, planets, experiences, realms. And if you can have a lifetime as an angel, which you absolutely can, and most people do at the very beginning of their incarnations, right? Then doesn't that make angels aliens too, or starseeds? Because if the term starseed just means having lifetimes off Earth, that means angels too. That means, like, it just means anything. Fairies, like literally, I would consider, like, having a lifetime as a unicorn, like a starseed experiences, an alien, or sorry, an angel, an alien, whatever. If it's off Earth, it's in the stars, it's in the galaxy out there somewhere, it means starseed. It doesn't always mean alien. Okay, so now that we have just a little bit of my rambling about what I think a starseed is, to me, that feels inclusive. It feels fun. It feels adventurous. It doesn't really have to do with human issues like racism or human problems. That's why, to me, this was so crazy. And what I mean, this was so crazy, what I mean by that is, I'd like to just be, I'm being really open and honest right now. I'm literally going to read to you these 2 emails that I got, not the whole email, don't worry, just the part I recently got from people that were refusing to work with me because of my use of the term starseed. Okay, so, and when I mean refusing to work with me, I mean refusing to collaborate. Okay, so, me maybe reaching out to collaborate with them in some way on a podcast, or in some kind of format, and them seeing my business name, Starseed Academy, and telling me no. And I'm not saying that these people are wrong. It's totally within their right to do this, but I just want you to understand what's happening right now with Starseeds trying to be canceled. Okay. So the first email said, so this was an email to me upon reviewing this, proposal with Jenny from Starseed Academy. We believe it would not be in line with our values to have Jenny as a guest on our podcast. We feel it's essential to approach any belief system or spiritual concept with critical mindset to ensure that our practices promote inclusivity and equality. Therefore, we prefer to maintain distance from the term starseed and its related ideology due to the problematic origins and racist undertones associated with the concept of starseeds. We encourage you to look into the origins of this term, and the concerns that have been raised about it. Thank you anyway, kind of thing. Okay, so that was the first email, and I was like, that's the first time I even heard of any issues arising with the term, or that anybody was thinking like negatively of the term starseed. I was blown away when I got this email. I was like, what? Why is this person calling me racist? Or calling my business racist? I really could not believe that. And then I was like, maybe this is just a one-off, but it was not. Then I got another email. This one came in a couple of days ago, where a person, a business person, had again decided that they did not want to continue like collaboration. And they said the term Starseeds has links to fascism and white supremacy. Now this is even further than the first email, or really off the rails. I understand that it's easily overlooked, but there are many people who would be offended by that term. So I wouldn't feel comfortable promoting someone who uses this terminology in my community, but all the best to you, right? So I do feel like in both of those emails, and again, these people have every right to not work with me. That's totally fine, right? But I do feel like there was like this undertone of fear that they were going to get canceled. You know, like if the term starseed is being dragged through the mud a little bit right now, then no one wants to get their hands dirty. They're like, oh no, no thanks. And I think it's really interesting because the last person, that last one that I read to you that was said it was fascist and white supremacist and everything, their business, their Instagram name has the word witch in it, something witch. And I'm not going to blast anybody. And it's interesting to me that somebody that is referring to themselves, this guy is referring to himself as a witch. I know that that term witch has been dragged through the mud, right? And people have called it evil, and people have called it this, and people have called it, and they've tried to stomp on it, and they've tried to eradicate, wipe out witches, literally, with like the burnings and the witch hunts, literally. And this person that has that in their name, you think that they would like understand that you need to stand by what you believe in, regardless of what people think. Like if people think witches are evil, yet that he continues to stand by that. And it's like, but then you can turn around and say, yeah, but your term is wrong. Like mine isn't, but yours is. And it's like somebody not really seeing like the forest for the trees in a way. Okay, so now that I've been super honest with you about like what's going on, like literally it's affecting my business, and I really wanted to cover this. And in order to do this video right, I had to research what those people were claiming and see if there was truth in it. And I'll be really real with you, there is a lot of surprising stuff in here. So I'm going to share quite a bit with you about in any way how are star seeds, or what are people claiming that makes a star seed like a white supremacist term or a fascist term or whatever. So let's go through it together. Calmly and coolly. Keep your calm in the comments. Okay, check yourself before you wreck yourself in there, because my community, we are not about division ever. Like, you know, and I know that you guys, I always see all of your love in the comments, and I already know that you're going to be super respectful about this. But you know, there's always that one. So go ahead and send them love if you see a comment that's crazy. If you comment crazy, we're all going to send you love. Okay, that's where we're at. So the first thing, let's talk about the most obvious racist starseed theme. It's very troublesome. Okay, the Pleiadians. The Pleiadians are always depicted as this Nordic race of blonde hair and blue eyes. Okay, tall, white, beautiful, blonde hair, blue eyes, very like European features even. They're always white. They always have blue eyes. A perfect example of this would be the Ashtar Command, I think it's called. So here's what I want to say about that. So when people got a hold of the idea of Pleiadians, and I'm not saying that there aren't Pleiadians that look that way. I'm sure that there are blonde-haired, blue-eyed Pleiadians, just like there are on Earth, beautiful, tall, Nordic people. But because Pleiadians are just like, it's just like humanity, but kind of in the future is what a lot of people believe. They believe that Pleiadians started on in a very similar way to us as humans in the third dimension, and they've just, you know, evolved themselves up. In what I mean by evolved is they've evolved back into a more peaceful society, and they use a lot of like modern technology for things like healthcare, inclusivity, so everybody gets access to their healthcare, their modern tech, their spacecraft, their, you know, elongating their lives. It's very equal, right? So here's the problem. So somebody maybe had an experience with somebody maybe named Ashtar that looked blonde hair and blue-eyed, and then what happened was everyone started believing that that's all they look like. That'd be like some other species on another planet coming down and meeting me, and then going back and telling their people, yeah, they all look like these colors or these features, right? I feel like really strangely, I just got this weird nudge from spirit to share like my own culture, and I have no idea what that would have to do with this video. But personally, I am on my father's side Spanish and French, and on my mother's side very Scottish and Welsh. Okay, so I'm quite a mixed bag. So imagine taking that and then going and saying they all look like that. That's pretty small-minded, and it reminds me of the way that Jesus has been whitewashed by Catholicism. Does that mean that Jesus or everything that he ever said or his teachings or all that would be racist? Does it make Jesus racist because someone else whitewashed him? No, right? Does it mean that anything that he's ever said has foundations in division or hatred or separatism? No, the problem is the people that are depicting him like that. It's not him that's the problem, right? If you believe in Jesus. And I do believe that there was an advanced, enlightened kind of spiritual teacher. There's been many on earth, like the Buddha. And I mean, there's so many, what I would think of like ascended masters that have lived lifetimes as humans. And people tend to like whitewash them a lot of the time. Their names, their character, like their features, even and what they've said, even their words and stuff. So I just feel like that's what's kind of happening with like the Pleiadians. I feel like people grabbed onto this idea and they made it a whitewashed idea. I want to share with you what I have seen. I'm going to pop a picture up right now. This is how I see Pleiadians. Okay, this is how I have seen them many times. This is just some of the ones that I've seen. Now, this is artwork that I created through what I've seen personally in the Pleiadians that I've worked with. Now, if you are not into like Midjourney or AI artwork, I get it. But I'm not an artist myself. And so this is just an easy way for me, someone that makes a lot of thumbnails, an easy way for me to just be able to pop some words into a program and get a result that matches what I'm trying to in my mind, show for people. So this was an event that I had held. I was hosted this event, and this is how I see them, right? So again, I don't think the problem is Pleiadians. I think the problem is the people that are whitewashing them. So that's how I feel about that one. And then I want to say, when you are seeing like tests on the internet about here's how you can find your starseed origins, and they're based on physical characteristics, like for instance, you have like me, I would have like a Roman style nose, like a European looking kind of Roman style nose. Is actually French because my dad has the exact same nose. But anyway, that'd be like a European, they call it like a Roman style nose. If you had that, and if you had this, then they would put you as a particular starseed. But if you had these other like physical characteristics to determine what kind of a starseed that you are is total bullshit. That I'm sorry. Anyone, you know what? They're entertaining, but that might be a bit of a problem too, right? Because if you believe that because I don't have blue eyes, I would never be cast as Pleiadian because they're blonde-haired blue eyes, right? So I would never get that. Yet I actually have had a Pleiadian incarnation in my past of my soul. But the physical vessel, the avatar that I'm in right now, right? Because I am the internal soul, but I'm just playing a character. Every time I play a character, I'm given a physical vessel to wear. They're always going to look different. And the way that it looks actually has more to do with my soul contracts. Okay, well, this time I want to be a woman because I've been a man maybe 11 times and I want to flip the story and try it this way. And, this time I need to look like this, or this needs to be in my ancestral bloodline so that I can clear karma from this, and this ancestor. It has to do more with your soul contracts and the karma that you're trying to clear or the lessons that you're trying to have and the experiences that you want to have to learn. It has nothing to do with trying to determine the starseed that you were at all. Okay, let's move on to the next point because I feel like we all understand that. Okay, so the next thing that came up, this one I do remember affecting my business a couple of years ago. Was it in 2019? 2020? Either 2019 or 2020. I can't remember the dates. If you remember, there was a white guy named Jake Angeli who was a QAnon supporter, and he dressed like a shaman, or some kind of a buffalo shaman or something. And he was one of the people that went into the Capitol. Remember when they said like a bunch of Trump supporters like burst into the Capitol or whatever, and they were protesting. It was a fairly peaceful protest from the videos, but I guess they weren't supposed to be in there and they went in there, right? I think he got arrested. So that guy just happened to have a YouTube channel called, yes, this is true, Starseed Academy, right before my YouTube channel of Starseed Academy. So let me tell you, I have to be super honest and open. I'm going to tell you why I called my YouTube channel Starseed Academy, which I didn't have a business. And then when it became a business, I kept that name. I'm going to tell you why I called it that. This was a complete coincidence, right? Like I had no idea that somebody else had a YouTube channel called that, and certainly did not know this person personally. When that happened, YouTube deleted his account. Okay, so you will never, it just fully got deleted. All the videos, everything. You couldn't find him at all. But when they put in Starseed Academy, what popped up was my a brand new YouTube channel. And they saw that and they assumed that I was affiliated with him and started sending me a lot of hateful comments and messages. And I didn't know what was going on. And so I had to research who is Jake and why do people think that I'm his girlfriend or connected to him in some way? As if he had gotten arrested and I continued his channel. Literally, that was so that was a super difficult time in my world. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I very much considered changing the name of my channel because I really hadn't done anything other than YouTube with it. I didn't have a whole business. To rebrand would have been like no big deal. Here's why I didn't rebrand, even though, because I knew that was going to die down. I didn't know who this person was, and I certainly wasn't a supporter of him or anything that he believed in. And I knew that, it was hot in the news, but it would die off or whatever. And that, sometimes, oh, I'm getting a thumbs up. So Zoom has a new feature. Hey, so Zoom agreed with that. So sometimes people say, how people say like all publicity is good publicity. I kind of thought, well, you know what? If a lot of irate people end up over here on my channel, they're just going to get a dose of peace and love and oneness. And I actually had someone comment and say, wow, I came over here because of the whole Jake and Jelly thing, but you just got yourself a new subscriber. And I was like, that's a sign. That's a sign, right? I'm going to help people that are clearly, these are the people that need help, because if you're, on the internet bullying people, you do need a dose of love. So anyway, that was one of the reasons why I decided not to change it. And another reason was because of why I named myself Starseed Academy. And if you haven't heard this story yet, I'll keep it brief. So I was getting the nudge to go on YouTube for at least a year before I pulled the trigger because I was really nervous and shy and afraid. But I kept getting this soul nudge. A soul nudge is when your inner voice plus your spirit guides continue to send you signs and feelings that it's important for you to do this thing. And you don't actually a lot of the time know why it's important. You just feel this really strong urge or nudge to do so. And so I would be watching some of my favorite spiritual YouTubers and feeling like, wow, like they really speak my language. I'm so grateful that there was only a couple of people on the internet at that time talking about the things that I was going through and the experiences that I was having and using words that felt like my language, like Kundalini awakening, spiritual awakening, star seeds, and talking about things that were really happening to them without filter. I was very grateful because I was going through a lot at the time and I really needed that. And I continued as I would watch those people, those YouTubers, I kept getting this really strong feeling in my heart and in my gut, you're meant to do this. And that's clairsentience, that clear feeling when you get this. It's like a way of communication through a sixth sense almost. Clairsentience is clear feeling, and I was getting that. I was also getting claircognizance, which is clear knowing. The downloads or the thoughts are just a knowingness that this is my path. I just know that this is what I'm meant to do. So I kept getting those feelings and I kept getting this nudge and I was really afraid. And so one day, as I think I was like getting ready and looking in the mirror, doing my hair or something, and I said out loud, almost in frustration, because I had all this fear in me. I said out loud, like to, I don't know, my higher self or my spirit guides or something. I said out loud, like, okay, like if I even did that, what would I call myself? Like, come on, you guys, like this is ridiculous. And I heard so clearly, I just saw an orb. I heard so clearly in my ear, which is clairaudience, another Claire. I heard so clearly the words Starseed Academy. And I was like, who just said that? And I got all these chills on my body when I heard that. And I was like, whoa, because I knew that I wanted to turn it into an academy eventually, this YouTube channel, which is exactly what I've done now with all of my courses and stuff. So to receive something so purely from spirit and from your higher self, that's so personal to you and feels so important to your path, like your soul purpose, your path of I wanted to be of service to humanity and help. And that's what I was told, completely outside of knowing of any of these other people or these other terms. Then how could I just like rewrite that? So it felt like if I took away the name Starseed Academy, that I was like almost like I was dissing spirit, because it was given to me so purely and I'd never seen anything else called that. That's why I called myself that, and that's why I refused to take it away, even when someone that called themselves that too was in so much trouble. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next point in my research that brought up some problematic stuff with the term starseed. So here's the next pretty problematic thing. So there's this woman in the 1860s or 1870s named Helena Blavatsky. I teach about her when I teach about Akashic records because she was the first one to really dive into the Akasha and start to be able to show people their past lives and stuff. But she started what was like a spiritual movement, and I believe it was called, I might be pronouncing this wrong, but it was called Theosophy. And she started to talk about spirituality in the mainstream, which really brought like the new age. She was kind of like the first new ager. She started talking about spirituality and connecting with spirit and saying that it wasn't evil, because before that everybody assumed that to communicate with spirit was an evil thing to do. And she was saying, no, you can communicate with past loved ones, you can communicate with your higher self, you can communicate and find out things about your soul. And nobody had done that really before her, or at least not brought it to mainstream, I guess. And so I guess in her spiritual ideologies of theosophy, I didn't know this, but she started talking about highly evolved humans. humans that were of higher races or higher frequency and higher vibration. She believed that those were the Lemurians and then the Atlanteans, sorry, and then I might be saying this wrong too, Aryans, and Aryans were like, they spoke like European languages and Indian languages. They were a combination of Europeans and Indians in Central Asia. So she kind of, I think, did that maybe fairly innocently, but then like the Germans got a hold of theosophy. The Germans got a hold of it, you guys. And they started making it into this white supremacy, saying that a super race was going to be these very Aryan, a super race was an Aryan race. Okay, so the Germans got a hold of that idea of white supremacy and an upcoming super race, and that we were supposed to clean up the bloodlines or something like that and do that. Now, that is a form of racism. Oh, that's like the biggest form of racism, because we know what happened with like the Nazis and the white supremacy, right? And their idea of clean bloodlines. So that is a super problem with a racist spiritual idea, but it doesn't have anything to do with starseed. So I'm not sure, because when I was researching why is starseed a racist term, that's one of the main things that came up was its connection to like Hitler and the Nazis. I understand what white supremacy is, and I understand believing in a higher race or a super race or a better race is the problem, but I'm not sure what that has to do with aliens. It really kind of doesn't have anything to do with it. But this is why people have decided that starseeds is a racist term. They're saying, well, the Germans and white supremacy and an upcoming super race. I think this must have ties to the Pleiadian problem, right? Because they're saying, well, like this look, blue eyes, blonde hair, which Hitler was like obsessed with, but didn't have. So he just had like mental problems, obviously, obsessed with this idea of what he was not. I think maybe he was really put down, like obviously in his lifetime, for maybe the way that he looked, and he wanted to look different. And so he wanted to be the founder of a new race, but he could never be a part of it. So he was probably a really tortured person, because tortured people torture people, right? Hurt people hurt people. But again, I think we're still going back to the problem of the Pleiadians being the perfect Nordic looking race and people like worshiping them. And again, this really reminds me of the whitewashing Jesus thing. And can we just say that people whitewash angels? Angels are not physical beings. They're made of light. What are we doing painting them as white humans, right? And I understand that angels will appear to people in a way that comforts them. So they might appear to you and look like a human with wings. But to me, angels have always looked like colored orbs of light, like Archangel Michael being a blue light and Archangel Raphael being a green orb. To me, they don't have to look human for me to feel comfortable. But I mean, I have seen them look human. But they can choose to appear however they want to appear. Like they don't have to look white. They don't have to look human. But how do painters paint them? How do Catholicism show them? Like again, this is a lot of like the whitewashing thing of something that is not even physical. Like they're not physical at all. They're made of light and frequency. But if we're on this whole like whitewashing with religion problem, just look at God. Like, what do you view God to be? Like, do you think of it as human? So in my mind, I have created a personal relationship with what I believe God's source to be. Because just to believe that it's like a white light or a black void in the universe, you can't really have like a personal connection with it. And it feels good to be able to make a personal connection with like the creator being that we are all a piece of. And so in my mind, I just allowed this. I don't think I've ever shared this before. When I say I'm being like all open and vulnerable in this video, like, I mean, I'm just like bearing it all. I'll be fully honest. I was raised in a very, very abusive cult. Like, I wouldn't even call it a religion. It was like a cult. It was super abusive, and it was super, super focused on fear and paranoia and how the demons are going to get you. And if we're being fully honest, I think that I should share. And again, I am not condemning this cult or religion, whatever it is. I am just saying I had a very bad and abusive experience in it. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. It was Jehovah's Witness. And I was raised as that from like the age of 5 or 6 until I was old enough to move out of my home, like 18 or 19. And that was all very whitewashed. Okay. And like the idea, and I think Catholicism and a lot of Christianity makes God white and male, right? And this particular, the cult I was raised in was a very, very patriarchal. Like women could not wear pants to the meetings. It was not called a church, it was called a kingdom hall, but we could not wear pants. I could not stand at the podium to deliver my talk. I had to sit down in my dress or skirt. Like, no, there was a lot more problems and racism happening in there. What was my whole point? My whole point was when I finally got unbrainwashed and left that and wanted to create a relationship with God's source that made me feel safe. I allowed my mind to just be fully open, and I just asked God's source to like show itself to me. And it split itself in two and became what I call like Baba and Mama. And okay, so that's not true. Together they are Baba, but separately they're like Papa and Mama, but they feel like grandfather, grandmother spirit, and grandmother spirit, which together is Baba. So if I just need to call on both of them, I say Baba. But it's kind of like a papa, which is like grandfather, and a mama, which is grandmother. Now, in my human brain, what made me feel the safest was that papa was this like almost like an Indian guru from India, and he's very funny and he's very sweet and he looks very human and he looks very like brown-skinned Indian. And then for me, Mama is this like really beautiful, warm Black woman who always like is like asking me to, if I want a tea, or like, you know, wanting to sit on a porch. Like I literally, when I go to visit God's source, I go to this like almost, it feels like a warm, like wooden kind of cottage vibe, like made of wooden logs. And I go in and it's always got this beautiful orange glow, and they're both there, and they're this old married couple, and they've got a dog. I know this is very personal. This helps me though. This helps me personalize what God is to me, and to make spirituality grounded for me and real, right? So it's these two beautiful, a grandfather and a grandmother, and that's what they look like. So they do look human. But in my mind, that was the most comforting, like race or personality traits that made sense. Now I know that God's source is not human, right? But it makes sense that we would create what is the most comfortable to us. So do these people who had to whitewash Jesus just feel the most comfortable with that, or whitewash the Pleiadians? Is that because they're really uncomfortable with other races and they maybe have had no experiences with them? I don't know, but it's irresponsible, isn't it? It's irresponsible. And this Pleiadian Nordic race, I think, is like the seed of most of the problems I'm going to cover with you today. So it's a real problem. Okay, I don't want this video to go on forever. I apologize. I just want to be so open. The next one is a big one. Oh my God, you guys just get ready. David Icke. Yeah, there's a shitstorm we're about to uncover. So David Icke, I think that's how you say his last name. He's the one, I think, one of the very first people that started talking about a reptilian race from the Draconian constellation. If you haven't heard of this before, there is Draconians, and there's lots of different forms of them. But one of the forms is this reptilian humanoid race, and they kind of look like, when people depict them, like velociraptors standing up on their hind legs and wearing humans-like clothes, which sounds kind of ridiculous, right? Now, the problem here is that he claimed that reptilians were interbreeding themselves with Jewish humans, Jewish elites such as the Rothschilds. Okay, so basically, in a way, he's saying Jewish equals reptilian, which is very anti-Semitic and very racist. And that is a huge problem, especially when white evangelists or Christians or people that like to whitewash things and make things into a racial problem, like a lot of QAnons, which is a group of people that really jumped on this and decided that a lot of Jewish people were reptilians, right? Now that is a huge problem because now you're stereotyping a lot of people, including reptilians. You're stereotyping all of reptilians and you're stereotyping all of Jewish people to be bad or evil, right? And maybe David Icke didn't mean to say that all Jewish people were that, but people will take something and run with it. And so that's a problem because that is just not the case. And here's, again, all I can do is share my personal experiences, the way that I've shared, the way that I see Pleiadians with you. Let me just share with you, I've had very real experiences with what I would say are reptilians interbreeding with a human family and being a part of the elites. And this actually is a thing. Like, I have a video, let me write down to like link this video up because I feel like a lot of you might want to watch this. So I did a video about Queen Elizabeth, and I didn't try to create what was going to come through in that. I do what I call clean and ethical channeling, where I connect to God's source and the archangels, and I ask for the truth to come through about our timeline. And what came through was that there were reptilians on Earth that were in hiding, like a lot of them underground, and that they tried to attach themselves to politicians and people of power, and that the British monarchy was infiltrated by reptilians, and that someone like Queen Elizabeth, against her will, had an attachment, right? And so that once that happened, she wasn't able to like undo it, and it really was able to like affect her in a lot of ways and like make her act maybe certain ways or do certain things. And so, you know, it wasn't saying that she was necessarily evil or bad, but it was something that had happened to her line or her family and her husband as well. It had happened to. Now I can, again, this would be too long a video to go into the British monarchy. So I have made a note to link that video up at the end. So you'll see that and you can click on it and watch it if you'd like. So what I want to say here is that I do believe that there is a reptilian. I know that there's the Draconian constellation. We all know that that exists, and that there are lots of different beings that live on the Draconian constellation, just like there are in the Pleiadian constellation or the Sirians, or the Lyran constellations. Like there's a lot of different kinds of galactic beings, the Arcturians, the Andromedans. There's lots of kinds of galactic beings, Orions. Okay, they all look different, you know, and so some of them interact with Earth or have a lot to do with human history, where they like insert themselves in. So you might have heard of the Greys. The Greys have affected humanity a lot. They've done a lot of abductions. They've done a lot of human testing, right? That affects us. And the reptilians have affected humanity a lot. And I would say that the reptilians have a reputation. Oh, there's that thumbs up again. I think it's because I'm doing this. The reptilians have a reputation of being a very negative species. So they're not a human race. Okay, so it's not a racist thing, but they have a very negative reputation of being this really bad species. So I want to say that, again, from what I have, take it or leave it, from what I have channeled, is that there definitely are negative reptilians, but there are also ones in the light, right? That there is an actual reptilian council of light where they are trying to help humanity. But then there's also like darker, and the difference is service to self, like selfish, darker reptilians, or service to others, which would be anyone. If you were focused on service to others, you would be more of a lighter frequency because you're more focused on love and service. And if you were more selfish or narcissistic, then you would be all about power, money. How can I serve myself? And that's kind of the difference between the two kinds of reptilians. But that is the case in humans. There are beautiful humans focused on love and service, and there are negative, selfish humans or narcissistic humans. So in any species, not race, any species that exists, it exists in humans, reptilians, Pleiadians. You can't say all Pleiadians are good, and you can't say all reptilians are bad, because it's just about the soul within, which is exactly like humanity. Just continue to use humanity as the example. There's amazing humans that would go so far for others and change the human history in love because they go so far, like saints and people that start movements and peaceful protests and charities. And then there's the opposite, like terrorists and murderers and rapists and all of these other things. There is a mixed bag here on earth, and you can't say humans are all bad and you can't say humans are all good. It is about the soul. It's always about the soul within the physical form. So all of these other galactic beings also have souls, and they're wearing a physical shell or a physical avatar to have a lifetime to learn lessons. And after that lifetime, they are just the plain soul again. In between lifetimes, you're just the plain soul. And that's when you go and you have a life review and you figure out what the heck did I do right and what did I do wrong and let me do better. And if you want to reincarnate, you have to draw up new soul contracts to say, okay, this is my goal. This is what I want to learn. This is the karma I want to clear. This is what I want to do better at, or this is the new experience I want to have that I haven't had yet. And when you do that soul contract, you can choose to be human or reptilian or Pleiadian or anything. Okay. So the soul is everyone's soul is equal. We're made of light and frequency and a soul signature and layers of lifetimes of experience, which make us all individually unique. And the soul itself is not a race or a species. It is light and frequency and love and kind of all things, actually. It's like a mini version of God source. And then we take on physical forms, and they're just a shell for one lifetime, right? They're just an avatar for one lifetime to help us play a character. We're all just playing a character right now just to learn these lessons or do this soul work, these, karma balancing soul lessons and all the things in our soul contracts. Okay, so hopefully we can understand and all agree that souls are the eternal part of us and that the physical form is what disappears, and that reptilians are a soul in a physical form, and so are Pleiadians, and so are humans. And so we can't say it's about the species or the race that's the problem. A soul can be a problem though, right? A soul can be hateful or it can be loving. Okay, so I got off track because that's what I'm all about. But basically, this was about David Icke saying that reptilians and Jewish people had a sordid history. But I've seen it more actually with the British monarchy than anything. But I do think that these reptilian attachments can happen and do exist. Check out my Queen Elizabeth video for how that happens in the rituals and the things that can happen and how the human is not always actually in the know of what's about to happen. So I think we can move on from that and just say that, reptilians are not a human race. They're not only attached to one kind of human race. They're a species from draconian species, and they're not all bad. They're not all good. Again, it's not a reflection on like the term starseed. Okay, next point. Okay, the next point, let's clear the slate, moving on. The next point is from about 1970s until present day. There are a lot of publications and movies that depict futuristic societies, and they just happen to make them all white. Like a lot of movies in the 70s and in the 80s would do, I don't have you can pop in the comment section if you have an example, but I can't think of one right now, but like there's a lot of movies in particular, and fantasy novels. It became very popular to have like sci-fi in these decades, and they seem to create like or talk about future societies or other planets with the societies where they did all the things right. They're higher, they're smarter, they're better than us. And don't they all just happen to be white every time? And I do think, again, this is a mirror reflection of the Pleiadian Nordic problem. Okay, next point. Dolores Cannon, whom a lot of us love, talked a lot and has talked a lot in her books about how the Earth would be split into two, with some people ascending to 5D Earth, while others would fail to evolve and stay on the 3D Earth. Now, I guess the point here that the person was trying to make about this is that this version of spirituality is about hierarchy or some people being better than others or whatever. Again, that can be problematic, but again, this isn't about starseeds. This is about humans. So again, just isn't a reflection on the term starseed. However, I see the problem in that. And I have actually publicly revoked this whole 5D Earth belief structure. And now I have seen, and again, I don't want to call people out, so I'm not going to say the @ but I have seen there is a man that has on Instagram that has hundreds of thousands of followers, and he's written books and he's been on Gaia TV, and he is the worst person for this. He's got a following, a strong following. And I think, anyway, it doesn't matter. I was going to say what his race was, but again, it doesn't matter because it's not about that. He said literally in one of his reels, and this made me hit unfollow so fast, I feel really bad for people that don't make it to 5D. So they're going to get left behind and all the rest of us are going to move on. And I was like, is he serious right now? If you are making statements like that, that cause separation between people and fear, do you know how many messages that I got from that because people trust my opinion saying, oh no, like, am I going to leave? Is my family going to get left behind? Like, oh no, I'm afraid now to do my spiritual awakening or ascension. I don't want my family to get left behind. I can't leave them. And I was like, what? Why is everybody so afraid of this all of a sudden? It's because of like egoic people like him that make people afraid of it. And it's just not true. Here's the other video. I just decided the other video I need to link for you is Starseed Myths. Guys, that is just not true. 5D is not a place outside of yourself. You are not going to travel to 5D because it is not a location. 5D is a level, a measurement of a frequency. 5D just means 500 hertz. And do you know what happens at 500 hertz? It's the frequency of love. The 500 to 600 is like love, and then 600 to something is like joy, right? It's 5D is a short form for love. And 5D just means frequency, the 500 hertz frequency and above is this love, right? And somebody got a hold of this and decided it was going to be a world or a location or a place that you would be able to travel to and leave behind all these other not so great people like, oh, I'm better than you because you're 3D. No, not the case. It's a frequency. And you can consider yourself a 5D person if you exist in the frequency of love. Sure, you can call yourself 5D. I have 5D consciousness. Awesome. You have a loving consciousness. But I guarantee you, you do not have it all the time. It would be impossible. Okay, because we're human and we're here to have the human experience, which means, oh, I'm feeling super good today. I'm in my 5D, but then I have a shit day and I'm in my 3D. I'm self-loathing. I feel ugly. I don't feel worthy. I'm struggling with my mental health. I'm annoyed by this person. I'm frustrated by that. You're in your 3D. And it's normal as a human to be bouncing around between all of these 3D, 4D, 5D, which are just frequency measurements of emotional states. 3D is like, probably like, I mean, there's a lot of things. There's things below 3D. Shame is the lowest frequency on the scale. This is true. You can measure an emotion and everything has a frequency. Shame is the lowest. It's lower than anger. It's so low. But like 3D is like people that are like triggered easily. Like I'm offended by everything. Everyone is offended by everything, by the way. Hating the term starseed is pretty 3D of y'all, if you do. Because that's like really like letting anger get to you and prejudice. Anyway. And then 4D is probably in between. It's like kind of like neutrality. It's just a measurement of an emotional scale, okay? So 5D is not a destination outside of yourself. It could be a destination within of a measurement of growth. Like I am a more loving person because I'm doing the work. I'm healing my traumas. I'm healing my childhood. I'm trying to really get out of my egoic tendencies and thinking and be less selfish and think of others and be more compassionate. That's what 5D is. Do I believe that 5D people are going to go somewhere and leave the other people behind? No. And I've seen the proof of this. I have seen the proof of this. So I get to live in this really loving frequency because I've unplugged from a lot of the 3D programs. So I've unplugged from the 9 to 5. So I don't have to go out of my house and be surrounded by all of these third dimensional emotions. I get to work from home and do this amazing high frequency. I'm literally, my job is to be in high frequencies all day. how privileged is that? It's extremely privileged, right? But that's because I did the work on my personal inner work and the outer work to build a business. So it didn't come from privilege, it came from hard work. So you could say I say to you, I was going to say, oh, I live on a 5D timeline, which just means my reality is one of love. I'm living a reality based in mostly love. And that's probably pretty true. I do get to live in these higher frequencies of love because I work from home. All of my clients are awesome and loving. All the things that I get to do are in this higher frequency. I work with angels a lot. Like, yeah, right? I live right alongside people in the third dimension. I didn't leave this planet. Earth is a very special planet where people create their own reality, which is a whole video that we can't do. If you create your own reality, then you could have people living 5D, 4D, 3D, 2D, 6D alongside each other. Because Gaia can support that in her mainframe consciousness. She can support, you are the sovereign creator of your own reality. You are the sovereign creator of you guys just do what you want. And then like, we're all over the place. You can really see that. You can totally scroll social media and pick out who's in what, not in a judgmental way, just in that feels like that person is very resentful or paranoid or filled with fear or filled with prejudice. Like they're in a 3D timeline and we've all been there, right? But now we're waking up to, this doesn't feel good. What's a spiritual awakening? It's just becoming more self-aware. A self-awareness is what it is. I'm becoming self-aware. I don't like the way I feel. I want to do better. I don't like the way I treat that person. I want to do better. I don't like the way I let that person treat me. I want to do better. I don't like this job. I want to do my own dreams. Wait, I can do that. It's like, it's a building activity. It's a lot of inner work, right? What was the point of this? The point of this was that this spiritual teaching of that the earth is going to split and the good guys get to be over here and the shitty guys get to just like be on their own. It's not true. It's not true. What is true? Oh, I can't tag 3 videos, but maybe I could just link this. What is true is that, excuse me, what is true is that Earth goes through cycles of golden ages and dark ages. Earth goes through cycles of golden ages and dark ages. A golden age example would be Lemuria. A dark age would be the dark ages and the witch hunts and all of that. Gaia's on a cycle, and she doesn't stay in one or the other. She's a school, and so she will. You can actually like scientifically prove this through the ages that we descend and we get shittier and we go through the dark ages and then we ascend and we have a golden era. We've had multiple golden eras. We've had supercontinents. We've had all kinds of cool things. And then we descend and we hate each other. And it's a full cycle. It's not about the planet splitting and 5Ds here and 3Ds here. It's about Gaia goes through cycles and we're either on the ascension path or on the descension path, but you better believe we're going together. And everybody goes at different rates. So just because someone's had a self-awareness, spiritual awakening and is already in their 5D love frequency and this 3D person isn't, doesn't mean they're on different planets. However, your realities will feel very different. And that's kind of cool that you can have a whole different reality. We're almost there. Just a couple more points that I don't want to leave anything out. Okay, the next point, moving on from Dolores Cannon. The next point is, I don't even know, like now, this was literally like a lot of research on the internet as to in any way, how could Starseed be taken in this negative way? And I'm not really sure. I'm just going to say it. So someone said the reason was because light language, people that speak light language, is the same as speaking in tongues, which is the Bible and Christian origins. So light language, oh my God, I have so many videos that I want to share with y'all, but I have to just trust that you'll go deep diving if you want to know more, because I have videos about this too. But anyway, light language is translating frequency into sounds, right? So you could, it should actually be called frequency language. I don't even know why it's called light language. So you could translate any frequency the frequency of abundance. I've done that for my membership group. We actually just did it the other day, where I spoke a language of the abundance frequency to seal in some work that we were doing around manifesting money. But I could speak any frequency into a sound. Okay. My soul signature has a frequency, and that's then called soul language. So it's really a frequency language. Anyway, did they do that in the Bible? Maybe. Yes, definitely. Right. But it's not just Christians. Like, there are so many cultures and societies on every single continent that have a language that comes over them where they are speaking in tongues, which that's just a saying to say it's not a language of earth. It's a frequency translation. Okay, so you can, if you follow me on Instagram, you could see that I recently did a reel that was me translating the frequency of the seraphim angels. Go and see what that sounds like. It was friggin' cool. Again, how is that? I'm not sure. Again, I just don't see the correlation between that making starseeds bad. I don't think light language is bad. I don't think just because they mentioned it once in the Bible, it makes it Christian or white, you know? Like, I think that the Bible is a lot of symbolism anyway, but anyway, just because somebody said that in the Bible doesn't mean it's not in other ancient books that are just as important as the Bible, where maybe it was in there too. And like every culture, every continent has a version of this. So, okay. The next point is that people believe, so in our spiritual, okay, so starseeds say this a lot. I say this a lot, and I am a starseed. Starseeds say a lot that we are working right now on upgrading our DNA and activating ourselves. So I say we're activating ourselves into the new divine human blueprint, which means that a lot of our gifts are coming to light. So people are realizing that they have these incredible gifts like clairsentience, clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, psychic gifts, spiritual gifts, ability to communicate with spirit realms, dimensions, and that we are raising our frequency, and that we are becoming crystalline, which just means holding more light in the body, and that it will help us to be more healthy. So yeah, we're activating all of these gifts, and you could say that that's upgrading the DNA or activating the DNA or awakening maybe junk DNA. And it's true because we're on an ascension pathway with Gaia right now, and we're heading into a new golden era. And in those golden eras, they had a lot more gifts than we have right now. Manifestation gifts. Some people talk about the ability to hover or float, the ability to do a lot of things that maybe we can't even comprehend of, that they did in Lemuria, or they did in like Atlantis, or they did in like any times when the earth was in like a higher vibration and there was a society that was considered like an evolved, an ascended society. Yeah, it's okay for our DNA to upgrade slowly. It can't all happen at once. It has to start now. Why is that? If that's for everybody, then that's not division either. But they're saying that because starseeds say that we are basically, that starseeds believe themselves to be superior. No, it's like literally all of humans. And it's actually not just humans. This is scientifically proven too, by the way. Let me just say, this is scientifically proven because it's created by solar flares. Right? So when solar flares start hitting the earth like crazy, like they have been over the last, 10 years or something, specifically strong over the last 2 years, 3 years, since 2020, solar flares are proven to accelerate evolution in plant life, animal kingdom, nature kingdom, and humans. So don't blame me, blame the solar flares for your DNA being activated. And you should say, like, thank you to like the system that creates these incredible changes. Like, it's solar flares, it's not racism. Anyway, but then, okay, so starseeds believing themselves to be superior. Okay, well, if you're doing that, then you're not very grounded, are you? Right? So I have seen this, and I do think this is a problem. Here's some of my worst cringy eye roll moments when people get online and they're like, I am the Pleiadian commander of the Fifth Right, and or people say, I am the reincarnation of Jesus or Yeshua, or I am Archangel Michael, or all of these things. I'm not saying it's not possible. However, with larger people like Archangel Michael or Jesus or whatever, It's probably not just one soul that's had that experience. Probably it would take like many souls to be an ascended master, because it's more like an oversoul. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying if you have an attitude about it, it's a problem. So if you are acting superior, you are actually not in a fifth dimensional loving frequency. You are in an ego place. So that's where you need to check yourself. And again, can you say all starseeds act superior? No, because we've learned you can't just gather together all these people and say they are one way. That is you being prejudiced. That's you saying, well, all dolphins are playful. Well, what about the depressed ones? That's not fair. He's going through something right now, right? You can't say that. You can't say all starseeds are superior, even though some of them really are. And I don't like it at all. And I have this hilarious call out on my Instagram page. It's a carousel that's like, signs you're star seeding too hard and are ungrounded as fuck. And that was one of the signs that you are star seeding too hard, my friend. And you are so ungrounded if you're like, I'm the fifth commander. No, you're not. No, you're not, sweetie. You're human, right? Just like me, you are in a human lifetime and you're having a human experience. Though those past life memories might feel really real for you, and though it's probably, if you're having that strongly of a memory, I'm certain that that's reality for you in another lifetime. You probably were a Pleiadian commander. Why not? There's no reason why I would say that, shut down that dream for you. But right now you're human, right? So that's the confusion. And this is where starseeds get a bad rep for being ungrounded egomaniacs. It is a problem. And so that's where I would really like to be an example of a grounded starseed who says those starseed quizzes online are bullshit. It's not true. You're not the Pleiadian commander. You're a human. And you're also more than just the Pleiadian commander, right? Because here's another problem. So starseeds can get very egoically attached to an identity. Oh, I'm a Pleiadian. I'm a Pleiadian. I was like, if your soul has had hundreds, maybe even thousands of lifetimes, then why are you discounting all of the experiences that you've had? Like, you're leaving out your galactic culture if you just say, oh, I'm a Pleiadian. It's like, it's okay to be like, feel really resonant with something like that. I get that, right? I understand what that feels like. At different points in my life, I feel resonant with different things. But first of all, you're human, and that's the experience that you chose to have right now. So it trumps anything else. It's the most important thing, your humanity. Secondly, if you've had hundreds or thousands of lifetimes, you've probably also been a unicorn, a fairy, an angel, a reptilian, maybe. You probably learned a lot. An Arcturian, Andromedan, a mantis being, a gray. Why would a soul just choose to do one thing? You wouldn't. It's like going to a theme park. Maybe you have, did you see that beautiful little orb? Oh my God, it just went woo and back up again. I love when they visit. Okay, so just like at a theme park, you might have a favorite ride. Recently went to Canada's Wonderland, obsessed with the Leviathan, Behemoth close number 2. Leviathan's amazing. So if that was an example of my galactic lifetimes, I love the Leviathan. I probably go over. So would I just say, oh, I am a Leviathan? I prefer Leviathan, and I've probably been that incarnation or lifetime more times than any other ride because it's my favorite ride. But I've also dabbled in, the Wildebeest and the Drop Tower. I'm just naming rides at Canada's Wonderland now. I've dabbled in all of these others. So I've been a lot of different things. I am a multi-dimensional, multi-species, like soul with many layers, lifetimes, and experiences in many colors. That's the Rainbow Warrior. Okay, a Rainbow Warrior represents a multi-dimensional being, multi-dimensional, multi-species, multi-planetary, multi. Okay, again, starseeds are so inclusive, you guys. Okay, so yeah, so stop being so ungrounded as fuck. Get out of your ego and attachment to identity. And then the final thing is just like, starseed is just a human term. Like, it doesn't even mean anything. Okay. Like, I mean, another example would be like twin flame. that is just a human term, right? You can call it whatever you want to call it. I call what people believe a twin flame to be, I actually say my divine partner, right? Other people might say soulmate. Other people might say twin flame. Some people might say starseed. Other people might say, I've had lifetimes in other planets. I've had lifetimes in other galaxies, even. I've had lifetimes in other dimensional realms. Okay, well, there's probably some other term that we can use if starseed has become offensive that means the exact same thing, like multidimensional. I think multidimensional and starseed are like interchangeable. I'm a multidimensional soul. Cool. But then somebody would find a problem with that because they just want to find things to be offended by. They just want to find things to be like to complain about. However, I do see some issues there, and I just want to let you know that I see it, especially with the Pleiadians thing. I don't like that. And it does bother me. And I'm out there displaying and showing them in all, like I showed you the image of how I see them. And I have also said, when I host Pleiadian events, I describe them, their physical features, because I want people to know that's like one of my guides. Okay, we're getting so personal. I have a guide and her name is Amy, and she is a Pleiadian, and she's short, not tall, and she has a tan skin, and she has all these freckles, and she has curly brown hair, and she has brown eyes, and she kind of looks like a little bit more like Hispanic than, she's definitely not Nordic looking, like, oh my God, actually it's nothing like that. And that's somebody that has been in my life. I remember her like as a kid. She was my imaginary friend, but was actually a spirit guide showing up for me. And I told my mom that I had this imaginary friend, and I told my mom that her name was Star Child. Like, how adorable is that? It was such a little star seed. Just really able to interact with these beings of other frequencies and realities and planets and dimensions. As I got older, she reintroduced herself as Amy. Okay, but again, that's a Pleiadian that I've always known what she looked like. So I think that's probably my biggest takeaway. I get there are other issues here for sure, but that's the biggest one. And so I just want to continue to be a representation of a starseed that's not this Nordic look, and also show that, like, is that the starseed or the alien species that is the only one that really looks human? Because like, you can't really be racist with grays. Like, they don't look human, so there's no real racism there. Lyrans just look like a bunch of feline beings. There's no other real like super humanoid looking one. Like Arcturians are all blue, and they don't have head shaped like us. Like, they're not really like, they don't look superhuman. So I think that because Pleiadians look similar to us, they're very close to us energetically too. They resonate really around like six, maybe five, six, and seventh dimensional, most of them falling around six, whereas we are 3, 4, and 5, most of us falling somewhere in the middle of that, and they're kind of like 5, 6, 7. So they're close to us. To say that they are not that far advanced as you think, and actually not so different. They have personalities like us. They have humor. They have society. They have families. They have concerns. They have things that they're working on. They have healthcare. Like, so if it's like a close to human civilization, it is extremely harmful to show them all in this Nordic blonde hair, blue-eyed way, because it's actually not true at all, right? So anyway, that's all I have to say about that. And I guess what I want to end with is kind of like, I've got my notes here. What I want to end with is kind of what I started with, is that I'm never going to support anything that creates division in my community. And if I ever felt like the term starseed did more harm than it did good, I would probably, because I don't want to have attachment to things, right? I would rebrand, and just, but that's like saying, like, if light workers got a bad reputation, it's like, well, can you not say that word anymore? Eventually, we're not going to have any words that we can say. But if I really believe that that term starseed was doing more harm than it was good, I would really consider letting it go, because I don't need to be attached to a word. That's not where, that word is not the source of my power. It is not the source of my ability to do good in this world. It's not the source of all of this incredible soul work and all of these people that I'm helping. It's not because of that word. However, I do have personal attachment to it because of the way that my business was named, like almost miraculously. And I also think that people that resonate with Starseeds and that term are usually people that are in my field of frequency, like people that really understand my language, speak my language, and are interested in, because they've had experiences like I've had with these off-world beings communicating with them. So that term tends to help me find my people, right? Which is another reason why I like it. But like I said, I don't need to be overly attached to it, and I'm certainly not defending it. It's just a word. It's just a human word. However, what I do want to not defend, but however, what I do want to expand understanding around is that it's not right to whitewash anything, and we need to do better when it comes to the Pleiadians. Please be more honest with what you really see. And if you're not having true and honest experiences, don't pretend that you are and create these myths. And the other thing that's really big is, the 5D separation stuff. You need to, like, spiritual leaders out there, if you're teaching that, you need to do better, because if you're teaching things that are creating separation, fear, then you're not helping, right? It's about oneness, and it's about equality, and it's about bringing people together, and it's about showing everybody that they have the ability to rise into a 5D frequency within. Okay. Yeah. I was just going to say, I'm going to be really excited to read your comments, but I just really want to, again, before I sign off here, I want to ask you to use the comment section to bring people together. And if it's not a loving comment, then why are you leaving it? Like, if you're one of those people that's, going to thumbs down this video or leave a rude comment, maybe there's inner work within for you to be thinking about doing. Maybe you're in that third dimensional emotional frequency right now, and I don't want you to continue to harm yourself with that, because the way that you treat others is actually the way that you're treating yourself, right? So it's not going to hurt me, but it's probably going to hurt you. And so you must not love yourself very much, to kind of bully people online. It means you're hurting inside. So I'm just going to send you love. And like I said at the beginning of this, if you see those comments on this video, because this is definitely one of the videos that I know is going to be, it's difficult, right? It's a hard subject to even cover. I was like, it was a lot for me to even do this. And that's why I'm trying to be so transparent and honest and open. If you see those hateful comments on this video, can you just send that person love instead of arguing with them? Let's not have arguments, because you're not helping, right? If somebody says something hateful, you don't need to stand up for me. Please don't feel like you have to. You can just send them love, and that's what I would prefer you to do. Okay, so let's just do that together. I'm gonna go. This is super long. I apologize, but it was a big thing to cover. I just want you to know that I love you. If you're looking for a place that's a safe community where you can have these honest and open conversations without fear of being canceled, please come and join my membership group. We are doing really fun things. And now that you've gotten to see my personality, you know that it's from a super grounded place. It's not from this superior, like ungrounded as fuck, airy fairy, weird egoic attachment place. Like, I'm a super grounded person, and I'm just telling and helping people decode and understand their experiences and sharing my own, and it's a lot of fun in there. So anyway, that's enough. If you want to, it's right for you. If it's right for you, you'll know. Go ahead and click on the link in the description of this video for the Starseed Academy membership. Stupid thumbs up. Can you turn that off? Is anybody, please, in the comments, save me from these thumbs ups? This is new. Zoom hates me, and I don't know how to stop it. So if you can help me to turn those off, please let me know what button I need to click for that. That's it. I'll leave the videos I promised up. You probably see them right now. If you want to know more about reptilians and their rituals, click on the Queen Elizabeth video. If you want to know more about like 5D and other starseed myths, click on that video. And before you go, please remember, listen to your heart and the quiet voice within, because you are so much more than the body you are in. That could not be more true than it is for this video. And I love that that's the saying that's been my sign off for 4 years. I love you, beautiful star seeds and light workers. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.